Hello, my name is Chris Vallely. This is my 2018 entry in the Haba board game design contest. This game is called House of Pets. So, to get started out, this is a push your luck dice chucking resource management game that's fun for the whole family. This is the game setup as the starting board. We'll be playing as 2 to 5 characters. These little meeples are the characters that I was sent from the board game design kit, and they were the inspiration for this game. So we have 5 characters: the wolf, the dog, the cat, the chicken, and the mouse. And these characters will be chasing each other around the board, performing activities to fulfill their needs, which are outlined on these needs cards, and earning points or coins for their victory points at the end of the game. To start out, the board will be set up, and each character has its own starting pet bed, and you will take turns rolling these dice to collect these action tokens, and these tokens will be used to fulfill your needs cards to earn your points and win the game. So, start out, each player will be dealt 2 needs cards, and they will keep these secret from the other players. These are the actions that they're trying to perform in order to fulfill their needs. So, all these action tokens that we have represent eating, sleeping, and playing. Now, there's also an action for running, which is represented by this little paw print, and that will be used to move around the board and collect other items or action tokens that are on the board and chase each other around, trying to catch the character or the animal in which they're supposed to catch. Players' turns will start out by rolling the 2 starting white die, and after rolling them, they have the choice to select one of the symbols that's facing up in order to add to their current supply, or they can stop and collect every face that's showing, so they would get both of these, and those are added to their player supply. So if they decide to keep rolling, they get 1 and they get 2, and each time you roll, you add a brown die to the dice that you're rolling. There's 5 brown dice and 2 white dice. So we'll start with the 2 white, and we'll roll, and then I might select the food token and then add a brown die and roll those 3 together, and then select one of these items to add to my supply. I might add the sleep, and trying to fulfill the cards that I have here. And then I can decide if I want to stop there or keep rolling and push my luck. So if I keep rolling, I had to add 1 more. So this increases the chances of getting caught. Now, in order to get caught, a player will have to roll 2 of the red net icons. So if you roll 1, nothing happens other than you have 1 less die to choose from. But if you roll 2, your animal has been caught doing something they aren't supposed to, and any tokens that you have collected so far get placed on the board by the player to your right, and they can place it anywhere that's more than 1 space away from any of the characters. Now, obviously they're going to want to choose a space close to themselves, so if the mouse is to my right, they might choose to place them a couple squares away from themselves so they can get to them. Any paw tokens that are collected will be returned to the supply, as these are only used for movement during a player's turn. So, if a player does get caught, their turn ends. The player to the right places the tokens on the board where they want, and then the dice are passed to the next player in clockwise order. Now, if the player ends up keeping what they've rolled before they roll 2 nets, then they will get to keep everything they've collected so far. So say I've collected these three tokens here. Now I get to, in addition to those that I've already rolled and collected, I get to add one of each from each face of the die. So if there's 2 symbols, as there are on the brown die on a few of the faces, then I get to choose which of those I want to add. So you'll be getting 1 item for each die that you have rolled, but in the case of having 2, you get to choose which one you want to add. Now this will continue, and after they've collected their items, if there are any paw prints, then they are able to move their character around the board. Now, the characters will move around the board and collect the items that they pass over and add them to their supply. In addition, each character is tasked with chasing one of the other characters around the board. So the wolf chases the dog chases the cat chases the chicken, and the chicken chases the mouse. Now the mouse chases the wolf to complete the circle, and if you're playing with less than 5 characters, any of the animals that are not being used are skipped over. So in this case, the wolf would chase the chicken, which chases the mouse, which chases the wolf. Now in a 2-player game, both characters will be chasing each other, so whoever ends up getting to the other player's square on their turn will successfully have caught that player. Now when a player does get caught, so say the mouse is here and the chicken catches him, then that mouse is placed out off the board until their turn comes back around. So if there's multiple people playing still, then they'd have to wait until their turn. And on their turn, they get to start over on their starting bed. No player is allowed to be caught on their starting bed, so you're safe there. But if you're on one of the other animals' beds, you're not safe. So one of the things you can do when you get to one of the beds is you'll be able to trade in a sleep token to take a nap, and you trade in your sleep token, and it has symbols on the board that show you this, but you will get, as a reward for taking a nap, 1 coin, and you get to draw a new needs card to add to the cards you're trying to collect. Now these stay secret in your hand. You start with 2, but the number of needs cards required to end the game, which is how you end the game, is by completing a certain number of needs cards, will change based on how many players are playing. So the more players there are, the fewer cards are needed to end the game. Players are allowed to collect as many of these cards as they want, but they can only collect 1 card by taking a nap. 1 card per turn on one of the pet beds. Now the pet bed you go to doesn't have to be your own. Your own is only for your safe zone and where you start if you're caught on the board. Now I can collect, so that means I can collect 1 of these cards on each turn, and they are collected at the end of your turn if you are on a bed. So if you start on a bed and then you decide to move off of that bed, you cannot collect a card that turn because you can't do it at the beginning of your turn. It has to be at the end of your turn. As soon as a player has completed the required number of cards to end the game, they will get a bonus of 5 coins, and every other player will have 1 more turn in order to try to pass up whoever is the leading player at that point in points. And the game will end when every other player has had 1 more turn. So this is House of Pets, and all the rules will be explained in the rule book, and I plan on printing off 1 more card that has the symbols on it for each of these characters, showing which character is chasing who, and that is my game. So I hope you like it. Thanks.